And welcome back to The Good Life. You know, just like in the times of Jonah and Nineveh, the Lord can use one person speaking truth to bring about great change.
That is so true, Ken. Well, our next guests are here to share their knowledge about foreclosure, such a timely topic, and mortgage banking to hopefully make a difference and help homeowners protect and save their homes.
That's right. Joseph and Ame Stevens are founders of America's Community Educators Incorporated, and they're with us right now. We want to welcome them. Welcome, Joseph and Ame. Appreciate you being with us here today on The Good Life.
Yes, nice to have you both.
Thank you. Thank you.
We hear so much today about people losing their homes to foreclosure. What is a forensic loan auditor?
That's a question I'm very glad you asked. The many different lawyers that we work with, they tell us that in the past there was only one or two excuses that they could use in fighting a foreclosure, and that neither one of them really worked. Actually, there was 335 different laws that were written to protect us from the banks.
You're talking about the consumers.
To protect us, the consumer, the landowners, the homeowners, from the banking community. And, you know, in Hosea 4:6, God had said that my people perish for lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, and nobody knows. All these laws are written, but nobody knows what the laws are. And so we go through, we take someone's closing documents, we go through all of them line by line, and we check them against those 335 separate laws to find out, did the bank do what it was supposed to do? Did it follow? Did it protect your rights? And we find well over 90% of the time that there are major federal violations in these loans, and I'm not talking one or two. I mean, we average 12 to 15 per loan of violations committed by the bank.
But they're probably not intentional. Are they intentional violations, or are they just, again, lack of knowledge? You're looking at me like, no, of course they're not. They're intentional.
This is where I get in trouble with the lawyers, because I have my opinion, they have their way of explaining it. Fortunately, I'm not a lawyer, so I get to say it more of my thought. If I look at something and I see that someone made a mistake on 3 or 4 things, and when I look at each loan it was 3 or 4 different things, then I can say, okay, maybe they just made a mistake. 12 to 15 per loan, as far as I'm concerned, it's a pattern, especially when you see it on the same items. And there are items that there are very strict guidelines on. There's a requirement in foreclosure that they cannot be wrong when they disclose the amount that you're financing over time. They can't be wrong by more than $35.
But why does a bank want a house? I mean, how do they benefit from a foreclosure? Maybe Ame, you can answer that for us. I mean, is there any benefit for the bank?
Of course. I think she can tell you better than that. Yes.
It's a point of contingency. There was $850 billion set aside to bail the banks out. It wasn't set aside to bail out the homeowner. It was to the banks. And literally, we're finding that in many cases, the bank makes more money by taking the home than by working with the homeowner. We see these homeowners, they're like, listen, I want a modification. I don't want a free home. That's not what this is about. I want to buy it, but I need it modified so I can work with it. And the bank will end up refusing to work with the homeowner, take the house away, and then sell it for $10,000, or in Milwaukee right now, selling them for $1. That you displaced this family who would have worked with you on the payments to sell it for nothing. Why is there an advantage there?
Right.
The $850 billion that went to them and not to us. There was no strings put on that.
But there again, the bank then comes back to the homeowner and says, now you owe us the difference between whatever they sold the home for and whatever they owed on the loan.
So they're making money.
And this is our number one thing. When someone goes to the website, it says, do not walk away from your home. There's still, even if you turn it over the keys and they do a short sale on your property, there's still a deficiency in many cases that they're going to come back to you to go after you for that deficiency. It's just like if you had a car foreclosed or repossessed. Okay? So we tell them, listen, stay in your home, fight. If you leave the home, now you've got to pay rent somewhere else. You could have stayed in the home, and many times the average time of fighting foreclosure is 2 to 3 years of that homeowner in the home without making a payment on it. That he could have been saving those payments for if the eventuality that he moves, or that when the judge comes back and says, listen, we've worked it out, they're ready to settle, are you able to make a payment? Yes, Your Honor, I've got the money in my account.
What's the first step homeowners should do when they get those papers from the bank, we're going to foreclose your home? What's the first step that they should take?
First and foremost, they're going to give you a paper that says you have to answer within 20 days. Please, you need to answer within 20 days. Follow the law. The law's there to protect us. But with that, get a forensic audit. Find out what the facts are so that you can have leverage to use against them. Not just saying, will you please change my... No, not please. You made an agreement. You have a contract that you need to fulfill. But when we have the leverage of finding out what they did wrong first, now we can come together and have an open negotiation.
What happens if the house is already sold at an auction, it's done, over and done? Is it really over and done with? Or if you find evidence later that could have protected your home, can you go back?
We actually do perform that service as well. Fighting it in foreclosure, this is someone that's in the ER, the heart is slowing down, you're trying to keep it going. After it's been foreclosed and it's completely done, now we're raising the debt.
Yeah.
But we find in many cases that the lender did not have a clear right to the title. They didn't transfer it. So just as you say, a chain of evidence, chain of title, that broken or clouded title, if they didn't transfer it properly, then there's these questions. So we can, in many cases, actually go back and still prove. The federal judge just Supreme Court judge of Massachusetts, they just had 2 different cases that they did that they were trying to sell the properties that had already been foreclosed. And he says, okay, just show me that you own the title. And they said, oh yeah, well, see, we were foreclosed. He said, no, show me you own the title. And they couldn't prove it. And the judge came out with a 16-page finding that's saying, past, present, and future, if you can't prove you own it, I don't care if you took it from him or not, you can't sell it.
I hear you doing this as a ministry. This sounds to me like it's not a business, that it's a ministry to help us as homeowners keep our homes. What can we do? What's the first thing that we can do to keep our home?
Always is get informed, and in this case it means get that forensic audit. But this affects so much more than just the homeowner. I was recently on the National Association of Low-Income Housing, and they had said on there that there's an expectation that 40% of all Americans can be evicted in this crisis because in many cases you have, well, forgive me for using this term, people, deadbeat landowner that he had an apartment complex. He's got it full, he's receiving his rents every month, he's not paying the bank. They foreclose on him, put a fence around the property, kick all the tenants out. That doesn't make sense to me. But they kick all the tenants out, where the tenants go? Yeah. Obama did something I approve of. Yes, I said that out loud. He passed a law giving tenants rights that if the property is foreclosed on, if there was no lease, they still get at least 90 days to find another place to go. If there was a lease, they get to finish out that lease. So this is not just about the homeowner or the property owner. We do both commercial and residential audits, but this is about the people. And the people, 40% evicted? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
So it can affect the renter too.
Yes,
I mean,
it affects
the
everyone.
person that's there. Now, does a homeowner need to hire an attorney, or is that something that you folks provide services for?
The law always provides for everyone to represent themselves pro se. We find it's not a good idea because when you're just representing yourself pro se or just self-represented, the bank will oftentimes just put an advertisement in a local paper, the Jewish Voice or whatever, that you don't necessarily prescribe to, and you never saw that they're selling your home. You think that they're working with you. If there's a lawyer on the case, then they have to notify him. They can't do an in-run on him. But a lot of times we find attorneys are charging people up to $6,000 just to get started, which is why most people are walking away from their homes. Through America's Community Educators, we've got attorneys that are working with them that in many cases for as little as $500, he'll take the case, get it started, get everything going, and that often takes you through the first year of no payments. You know, because that's his time, at $125 an hour or whatever it comes out to, you know, that gets through a first year of actual work.
See, that's the first time I've heard that, because I would know that if somebody can't make a mortgage payment, they are certainly not going to be able to hire an attorney. So if you have another option, and then they're going straight to the bank, and the bank is, if I'm hearing what you're saying, is not always in favor of helping the person that they're trying to foreclose on.
They go with very strict guidelines, the different things, and if your income is just above that 31% that they use as their guideline, they kind of bounce you out. And if it's, it could be that the way you stated your income, you didn't show your actual costs. You clearly stated your income, thinking I have to show that I can stay.
Yeah.
And you know they have all these different rules and regulations that forgive them. They're hourly employees. They're overwhelmed in the process. They can only do so much. Yeah. It's not that the guy sitting at the local bank wants your house. He doesn't.
Right. No.
He doesn't even know you.
That's the last thing they want.
Well, in many cases, you would say that the bank doesn't need it because it's going to sit there. It costs the bank at minimum $50,000 to take your house away from you. And then it's going to sit there for another 2 years before it can really sell. Nobody making any payments on it. And when it does sell, it's going to sell for less than it's worth. Long term, that's not to their advantage. But if you can show some form of leverage as to why they should work with you, in most cases, as soon as they get that audit in front of them, it went from 3 hours of the lawyer sitting on hold, waiting to talk to the bank, to now when they get the audit in front of them, they're calling the lawyer up and going, hey, let's talk.
Yeah.
So suddenly the roles reverse a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes. So those are, I guess, the main things, is to do the audit first.
Yes.
Find out if there were mistakes made in the mortgage itself, whether it be financial or actually it could be some legal jargon in the mortgage document itself. Is that true?
Yeah. What any attorney is going to be looking for is that you have an assertive defense. There's a logical reason for defense on this. If it's just I can't make the payment, we don't really see that as a logical defense. Right. That's a good reason for saying, okay, get out of the house, but not, you know, when you go through and you have the audit and it's showing these different things, in many cases it has a right of rescission, or there was a RESPA violation which allows for treble damages 3 times whatever the amount of violation was. There's a lot of things, true dollar amounts, that are useful to the homeowner. You know, but again, if you don't know what the law is, you can't use it.
That's right.
And you two have been working together how long doing this?
Almost 12 years now.
Wow, so you know what you're doing.
Yes.
It's just nice for our viewers today to know that they have an option, that they have somewhere else to go with a kind of an unbiased third party. It's not the bank, it's not you personally as the person about to go under foreclosure, but a third party that can come in and help.
Yeah, we were compliance officers for the mortgage industry. We had to make sure that everything was being done right originally. And you know, when I listened to the story of Jonah that
Anthony
was talking about earlier, that really, you know, we're here because God called us. We were in this industry originally because God called us. And when 80% of the industry closed, we didn't run away. We said, listen, we just have to find out where our continuation is. We're still working compliance. We're still doing the same things, but it's just really bringing these things out, letting the people know that there is a hope and a purpose. When we look at the law, up front, we tell people, listen, it's going to cost you $150 up front, okay? If there's no violations found, that's all it ever cost you. Yeah. Because everyone needs to have the right to know. And so we do those basic tests, and the test is not like, we got to find something they did, we got to twist it. No. Just like you watch CSI on TV, this, you know, the evidence is the evidence.
If it's there, you're going to find it.
Right. We do the test, it either passes or it fails. Right. Just like you spray that little stuff on there and it changes color. I can't make it change color.
That's right.
It did or it didn't.
That's right.
You know, so that's the litmus test. You know, did it pass? Did it fail?
Well, we know for many of you this is way over your head and you don't quite understand it all. But the most important thing is just if you're going through foreclosure, if you have questions, challenges, you can contact our guest today, Joseph and Amaya Stevens. That's America's Community Educators Incorporated, and they have a website, www.am-edu.info, and a phone number, Barbara.
Phone number is 407-702-7279. Viewers, we know a lot of you want to get this information written down. Sometimes it doesn't stay on the screen long enough for you to get it, so know that you can call us here at TV45 anytime, and we will refer you to that particular website to get more information to help you along the way. So I thank you, Joseph and Amaya Stevens, for being here with us today and helping to educate us.
That's right.
Thank you for having us.